Welcome back to Coins Numismatic Series. If you love the thrill of discovering hidden value in everyday change, you're in the right place. Today we're diving into two Lincoln pennies that might look ordinary at first glance, but each carries history, collector demand, and surprising potential. These are coins many people have held in their hands without realizing their story or worth. Stay with me as we uncover what makes these 2-cent pieces special, how to identify them, what collectors look for, and how they fit into the bigger picture of American numismatics. Let's jump straight into the hunt for rare and valuable Lincoln cents. 1968 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin without mint mark and fine condition. The 1968 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally omitted mint marks on cents for most of its history. This coin comes from an important transitional era in U.S. coinage. Just a few years earlier, in 1959, the Lincoln cent had received its famous memorial reverse design, replacing the long-running wheat ears reverse that had been in use since 1909. By 1968, the memorial design was well established, and the coin reflected the modern era of mass production while still retaining the classic Lincoln portrait that has become one of the most recognized images in American coinage. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, appear subtly on the shoulder truncation. The inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," along the top rim, "Liberty," to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date 1968 to the right. On Philadelphia strikes, there is no mint mark beneath the date. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial with the words "United States of America" along the top, "E Pluribus Unum" above the monument, and 1 cent along the bottom. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a small detail that fascinates many collectors. In terms of composition, the 1968 penny is made primarily of copper, with approximately 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This gives the coin its familiar reddish-brown tone when circulated and a brighter red color when preserved in higher grades. Copper cents from this era are popular with collectors not only for their historical value, but also for their intrinsic metal appeal and classic appearance. Mintage numbers for the 1968 Philadelphia Lincoln cent were extremely high, reaching into the billions. This was a period when the U.S. Mint was producing enormous quantities of coins to meet circulation demand. As a result, most examples are common in circulated grades. In fine condition, which typically shows moderate wear but clear major details, the coin is still easily identifiable and visually appealing. Lincoln's hairlines remain visible, the lettering is clear, and the memorial details are present though softened by circulation. Market value for a standard 1968 no mint mark penny in fine condition is generally modest, often only a few cents above face value. However, the value can rise depending on eye appeal, color, and especially the presence of errors or varieties. Collectors often seek out coins with strong original surfaces, minimal corrosion, and even brown or red-brown coloration. While it may not be a high-dollar coin in average condition, it serves as an accessible entry point for new collectors and a necessary piece for anyone building a complete Lincoln Memorial cent set. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1968 penny is the potential for mint errors and die varieties. Collectors frequently search for doubled die obverse or reverses, where parts of the lettering or date appear doubled due to a misaligned die during the minting process. Another possibility is off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin blank, creating a dramatic and collectible appearance. Die cracks, cuds, and clipped planchets can also add significant interest and value, sometimes pushing a coin worth only a few cents into the tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on the severity and visual appeal of the error. Another area of collector interest is strike quality. Some 1968 cents show weak strikes, especially on the memorial steps and Lincoln's hair details. A sharply struck example with strong details throughout can command a small premium even in circulated grades. Additionally, collectors often look for coins with minimal spotting and attractive toning, as copper is prone to environmental reactions over time. Historically, the late 1960s were a time of economic change in the United States. Rising metal prices, inflation, and increased coin production shaped how the mint operated. The continued use of copper and cents would eventually come to an end in the early 1980s when the composition shifted to copper-plated zinc. This makes the 1968 penny part of the last major era of traditional copper cents, adding another layer of appeal for long-term collectors. From a collector's perspective, the 1968 no-mint mark penny is often included in date and mint sets, album collections, and educational collections for beginners. It's a coin that teaches grading skills, error identification, and historical appreciation. Even though it's common, the thrill comes from the hunt for that one exceptional or unusual example hiding in circulation or old coin jars. When evaluating a fine condition example, pay attention to the smoothness of Lincoln's cheek and jawline, the clarity of the date, and the visibility of the memorial's columns. Moderate wear is expected, but heavy scratches, corrosion, or rim damage can reduce desirability. A well-preserved fine coin with natural color and balanced wear can still be an attractive addition to a collection. In summary, the 1968 Lincoln penny without a mint mark may not always command high prices, but it represents an important chapter in U.S. coinage history. Its copper composition, classic design, and potential for collectible errors make it a coin worth examining closely. For collectors, it's a reminder that even the most common coins can hold stories, surprises, and the joy of discovery. 1978 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin with mint mark D in fine condition. The 1978 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the primary coin-producing facilities in the United States. By 1978, the Lincoln Memorial Reverse was nearing the end of its long run, which would conclude in 2008 before being replaced by new reverse designs in 2009. This places the 1978 D-cent firmly within the modern era of U.S. coinage, yet still connected to the traditional copper composition that many collectors value. The obverse design remains the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1978 frame the portrait, while the small D mint mark appears just below the date, identifying Denver as the issuing mint. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial with the same inscriptions seen on other memorial cents. The overall design is balanced, recognizable, and instantly associated with American small change. Like the 1968 cent, the 1978 D penny is composed of approximately 95% copper. This is significant because only a few years later, in 1982, the mint transitioned to a primarily zinc core with a thin copper plating. As a result, many collectors prefer pre-1982 cents for their heavier feel, richer color, and traditional metal content. The 1978 D penny represents one of the later issues of this classic copper composition. Mintage figures for the 1978 D Lincoln cent were very high, also reaching into the billions. This means that the coin is generally common in circulated grades. In fine condition, the coin shows noticeable wear but retains clear details. Lincoln's facial features are still recognizable, the lettering remains readable, and the memorial's outline is visible though softened. Fine condition coins are popular with collectors who enjoy assembling complete date and mint mark sets without the high cost of uncirculated examples. In terms of market value, a typical 1978 D penny in fine condition usually trades for only a small premium above face value. However, as with many coins, condition, eye appeal, and rarity of errors can significantly influence value. Bright, evenly toned copper surfaces without heavy scratches or corrosion are more desirable. Coins that retain some original luster, even in circulated condition, can attract extra attention from collectors. One of the most exciting areas of interest for the 1978 D penny is error collecting. Doubled dies can appear on both the obverse and reverse, with visible doubling in the date, lettering, or design elements. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets are also possible and can greatly increase a coin's value depending on how dramatic and well-preserved the error is. Another known variety to watch for includes repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark appears doubled or shows signs of repositioning during die preparation. Collectors also pay attention to die cracks and cuds on 1978 D cents. These appear as raised lines or blobs of metal caused by damaged dies. While minor cracks are common and only mildly collectible, larger and more dramatic examples can be quite desirable. Such coins tell a story of the intense pressure and wear experienced by minting equipment during high-volume production. Historically, the late 1970s were a time of economic uncertainty in the United States, marked by inflation and changing metal prices. Although the cent remained copper during this period, rising costs would soon push the mint to explore alternative compositions. This makes the 1978 D-penny part of the final stretch of traditional copper cents, adding historical context and collectible appeal. From a design standpoint, many collectors enjoy comparing strike quality among different mints. Denver strikes from this era can sometimes show slightly weaker details in certain areas, such as the memorial steps or Lincoln's hair. Finding a sharply struck fine condition example can be rewarding and may add a modest premium. Eye appeal plays a key role, especially for copper coins that can easily develop spots, dark toning, or surface issues. Collector interest in the 1978 D-penny often centers on completing Lincoln cent albums, hunting for errors, and preserving copper cents for long-term enjoyment. While it may not be a high-value coin on its own, it becomes more meaningful as part of a complete set or a specialized error collection. Many hobbyists enjoy searching rolls of pennies or inherited coin jars for better-than-average examples, making this coin an accessible and engaging target. When grading a fine-condition 1978 D cent, look for moderate wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and hair, along with softened but visible memorial details. The rims should be mostly intact, and the lettering should remain legible. Avoid coins with heavy corrosion, deep scratches, or significant rim damage, as these issues can reduce collector interest. In summary, the 1978 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark represents a late-era copper memorial cent with strong historical ties and wide availability. Its value in fine condition is generally modest, but its potential for errors, attractive copper surfaces, and role in complete collections make it an appealing coin for both beginners and seasoned collectors. Like the 1968 cent, it reminds us that even everyday pocket change can connect us to history, craftsmanship, and the excitement of numismatic discovery.